Welcome back to the channel everyone, and thanks for watching. Although there will be some drone footage in this video, there will be much more ordinary camera footage than usual. To be honest, I was very apprehensive about making this video, but decided that I'd do it, and although I'm not promoting it anywhere, it will be just for family and close friends and anyone else who happens to stumble on it or who has an interest. The reason that I was apprehensive about it is that it'll be about the very first disaster that I can ever remember, the tragedy that was Aberfan. Even though the tragedy that happened there was almost 59 years ago, it isn't a tourist attraction, and I have genuinely and sincerely tried to be as respectful as possible in the making of this short video and dedicate it to the 116 children and the 28 adults who lost their lives on the 21st of October 1966. On the 21st of October 1966, the primary school children of Aberfan must have rushed to the Pantglas school with an extraordinary excitement. This was a different kind of day for them. They must have been really excited, as it was the last day before the half-term holidays, and school was due to finish at midday that day. However, as school started at 9 a.m, nobody could have predicted what was to happen just 15 minutes later. Aberfan was a village that was a coal mining community. As the coal is extracted from the ground, there is also a waste product that has got to be got rid of called slag, a mixture of earth and coal dust that has no commercial value whatsoever. There were 7 slag heaps towering above Aberfan village, and they were piled up as high as mountains, towering over the village beneath. After days of heavy rainfall, tip number 7 shifted, and because there was an underground stream running below, it became totally unstable, and 150,000 tons of slag and slurry descended down the hillside at an alarming speed, heading right for the village below. Sadly, Pantglas School was right in the path of this incoming disaster and bore the brunt of the avalanche of filth with devastating effect. It ploughed into the school with deadly consequences. 116 children's lives were taken, along with 28 adults. 144 lives lost in an instant. As I said, this video is dedicated to those 144. So let's take a look round Aberfan today and remember that lost generation. When the poor children's bodies were pulled from the filth and rubble, they were taken to the Aberfan chapel, which was used as a makeshift mortuary, and it was here that the parents came to identify their bodies. Sadly, the chapel became a victim of arson at a later date, but the frontage still remains today. So now it's time for the saddest part of all, a trip to the cemetery. It's up a very steep incline, but it is an absolutely beautiful sight. While we're taking a walk around the cemetery, I'll tell you some information about what happened after the disaster, and in particular about an act of unbelievable cruelty and total disregard of any compassion. After the tragedy happened, there was ordered a national inquiry, and the blame was firmly directed at the National Coal Board. Prior to the disaster, there had been many warnings sent to the Coal Board that the tips at Aberfan were unsafe. There is documented evidence of this, but the Coal Board ignored the warnings and told anyone who would listen, just put up with it or we'll close the mine. Amazingly, after the findings of the inquiry were published, nobody from the Coal Board was ever prosecuted, fired from their position, or even reprimanded. As if this act of profit over safety wasn't bad enough, the Coal Board then proceeded to excel themselves with a further display of disgusting and despicable behaviour. After the finding of the inquiry was that the Coal Board was entirely responsible, their initial offer to the families was a paltry £50, claiming that these people were so poor that they wouldn't be able to handle any more. And further to this sick insult, people the world over had been fundraising, thinking that their donations would be distributed solely to the families of the bereaved. But the National Coal Board plundered the disaster fund and used some of the money to dismantle the tips. The cost of this should have been borne by them alone. After all, the inquiry showed that they alone were responsible in their neglect. And again, although this act of pure selfish and inhuman greed was put right by successive governments, it took decades for the families to receive the compensation they deserved. And even then, no account of inflation was taken into consideration. If you look over here, you'll notice the area of grass that's a different colour between the trees. This is the scar of the avalanche of filth that slid down the mountain, and the grass there has now grown back a horrible yellow colour. It's a sad reminder for the locals to see every day the very path that tragedy took. I had been to Aberfan once before, about 35 years ago, and what struck me is, although it's obviously such a sad and heart-wrenching place, it's also so very beautiful, and that's kind of a strange combination. Well, thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting and informative.